Hello and welcome to Blue Lives TV on the America Out Loud TV network. I'm your host, Randy Sutton. A little bit about Blue Lives Matter, the largest police support grassroots organization in the country. 1.4 million followers on Facebook. You need to be one of them. And check us out at bluelivesmatter.blue. That's our website. Join us at bluelivesmatter.blue. As a law enforcement veteran of 34 years, as a law enforcement leader, an incident took place that hit the news that I have to talk about. It happened in a small town, Dixon, Tennessee. Two police officers Rob Peeler and Justin Walton, began their shift and they got a call for a fight. Two couples got in a fight at a Mexican restaurant. They'd all been drinking, and what's interesting is two of the employees were part of the city government. They were private contractors for the city. Well, they saw the video of the fight. They could not ascertain who had started it. These type of things take place all the time. They did the interviews and they conducted an investigation. It was a misdemeanor that had not occurred in their presence, which means you just can't go arrest people for it. They did a report and they sent that report up through the chain of command. So far, so good, right? Well, they have a police chief there, a guy named Ricky Chandler. Chief Chandler got a complaint from the detective who got the report 10 days later. Now, why did he get a report 10 days later? Probably because they have an inefficient system of going through reports and assigning them. Wasn't these two officers' fault, that's just the way it worked. So this detective gets pissed off. And he makes a complaint to the chief after he verbally debases these two police officers. He basically insults them and then says that they mishandled the investigation and he's going after them. Well, this is leadership 101. The chief should have handled this situation in a far different way than he did, because what happened? He dresses down these two police officers and reassigns them. Okay, reassigning a police officer, it happens, okay? But not to the garbage truck, not to the city sanitation department. He calls these two cops in who have 2.5 years on the job, who are gung-ho, who love the job, who want to do the job well, and he tells them, go ride the garbage truck and pick up trash. I've never heard anything like it. After spending 34 years as a police officer, I think I know a little bit about security and about keeping people safe. And there is one security company that stands above all the others. It's JSD Protective Services. Now, this is not your rent-a-cop, okay? This is 21st century security at its best. They're nationwide. They do everything. They do executive protection. They do armed security. They do detective work. They do even law enforcement functions. And here's what sets them apart. Their training. Their training in security is second to none. I have been very, very impressed with their entire program. You are have a need for security. JSD Protective Services. Check them out. They're the best. In 34 years as a cop, I've never heard of a chief telling his police officers to go ride the garbage truck. But these two young troops, they do exactly what their chief tells them to do. He goes and they go to pick up the garbage. And while they're doing that, they are in a truck which doesn't have the proper safety equipment, doesn't have seat belts. The inevitable happens. They get hit by a car while they are picking up the garbage, and they get hurt. They get injured in the line of duty. Well, that starts even more trouble. They ask for the highway patrol to investigate this accident. But the chief, being the chief, no, he says he wants his people to do it. And they get actually pressured to claim that there were seatbelts in this truck, even though there were not. Are we getting the picture here? Well, not only do these two poor cops get injured, then they get suspended, and it looks like they're going to get terminated, and they're going to get prosecuted. Prosecuted. Now, here's the out loud truth. This is a failure of leadership. This isn't a failure of two cops doing the job. This is a failure at the top of this police organization. Chief Ricky Chandler has been the chief for 20 years or so. He clearly doesn't have a clue as to what leadership is. Leadership is about caring about your people. Leadership is about taking charge and doing the right thing. It's about taking someone who works for you, caring about them and about your agency. For him to assign these officers to demeaning duties like pick up the garbage, allow a detective to prefer criminal charges against them for some made-up reason is absolutely unconscionable. And this, my friends, I wish I could tell you that things like this don't take place all over this country. They do. Out of the 18,000 law enforcement organizations in this country, 80% have less than 20 police officers. The reality is this. The leadership of police agencies and sheriff's departments all over this country need to come to terms with the realities that they are responsible for the lives of the men and women who wear that badge, the men and women who serve under them. And that type of leadership that was being demonstrated here in the little town in Tennessee embodies the worst of leadership. We owe it to the men and women who serve. We owe it to them and their families to treat them with respect, dignity, and fairness. That's leadership, and that's what we need.